The 2023 New York Met ACC basketball tournament was a story of many stories. The first story that comes up was the coming of age of the Duke Blue Devils men's basketball team. Duke this year started the youngest and had the youngest roster of any team in the country, playing as many as 5 true freshmen on the floor at times. 5 out of the 8 freshmen on the team were in their rotation all the time, but it was a team that struggled early in the season. They had a lot to learn. They did not have but really one returning player from last year. That was Jeremy Roach. They did bring in 2 transfer portal players that were fifth-year seniors to give them a little bit of age and experience and somebody to lean on. But basically, this was a very, very young team that had to grow up throughout the season. They had some tough losses. They had a tough loss at Miami where they got blown out. They had a game at Virginia in which they got fouled with less than a second to go in a tie ball game. Should have had the opportunity, and the ACC office came back and said the officials blew that call, but lost that game in overtime. But Coach Jon Scheyer did a great job of showing patience, sticking with his players, and they, going into this tournament, were playing their best basketball of the year. The Blue Devils had to play a Pitt team that was 1 game away from winning the regular season championship. On their first game, came out and blew out Pitt by the score of 96-69. The game, again, was a game in which was really never in doubt after the first half, as the Blue Devils were hitting on all cylinders. The ACC Freshman of the Year, Kyle Filipowski, had a great game. He hit 3 threes to start the ball game, but again, he emerged as a key factor on this team along with Jeremy Roach going down the stretch. I talked to Filipowski after the game, and he basically shared there were 2 teams that he wanted to play and have an opportunity against. And the first one was their semifinal opponent, the Miami Hurricanes, who embarrassed his team when they went down there. Had that opportunity, and he got revenge on Miami in the meeting that they had in the semifinals as Duke went on to win went on to win the game by 7 points there, and it set up another showdown. Filipowski also said that the other team that he wanted to play against was the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia was the team that he got fouled with less than a second to go in the game. Replays showed that, but the officials blew that call, and he did not get a chance to shoot the free throws that could have won the game for his team. And in the championship team, you had 2 teams that are very defense-oriented. The Blue Devils, and this is a thing of Duke teams that we have not seen in previous years when Coach K was there. A lot of the prima donna players that they had, the one-and-dones, would not play defense. But Jon Scheyer has brought the defense out of this team, Duke team, this year. And again, they held Virginia to 17 points in the first half of the championship game, and Duke went on to a 59-49 win and captured their 22nd record-setting 22nd ACC championship for the team again this year. Jon Scheyer became the first coach in Duke history or in the ACC to ever win the ACC tournament as both a player and a coach, and also was the only player to ever win MVP in a tournament and win the ACC tournament championship. This year's tournament MVP went to the freshman, Kyle Filipowski, as he put up double-doubles in all the games and leading the Blue Devils to the tournament championship. And Duke now will go on to the NCAA tournament as one of the hottest teams in America and looking to make some noise there. The other stories coming out of the ACC tournament were 3 of the ACC coaches coached their final games. The first one was kind of a surprise in some ways, but not in other ways, that Jim Boeheim, who has been the head coach at Syracuse for 47 years, the all-time winningest coach there. And again, as a player and coach, has been at Syracuse for over 60 years, announced his retirement in an awkward way after they lost a heartbreaking loss in their game in the tournament there, when Syracuse could not knock down a shot at the end of the game and lost again in the final seconds, and his career came to an end. And he hopes to be able to stay at Syracuse in some capacity. He said, "I'm not leaving." The next coach that made his final appearance was a good friend of ours, and that is Coach Mike Bray from Notre Dame. Earlier in the season, it was decided that Bray was going to part from Notre Dame, maybe kind of a mutual thing. Mike Bray felt like his message was not being heard anymore. And so when the Duke Blue Devils when the Notre Dame Fighting Irish could not knock down a three-point shot to tie their game in one of the quarterfinal rounds or early rounds, then the Irish were eliminated and thus ended the coaching career at Notre Dame for Mike Bray. Mike Bray also leads Notre Dame as the all-time winningest coach with over 479 wins during his 24 years at Notre Dame. Another coach who left our coaching ranks was the 2021 champion Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets coach, Josh Pastore. That it was announced that he was fired after the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets were eliminated, and so he was looking for a job, and thus he also left the ranks as ACC coach. Another surprise, which was not a surprise, was that the North Carolina Tar Heels ended their season in the tournament with a loss to Virginia. This was a team that everybody had picked preseason number one in the country going in. They lost in the national championship game last year to Kansas. Actually had a 12-point lead in that game, and Kansas came from behind to beat them. But a lot of their players, and included Baycott, who was the preseason pick to be the player of the year in the ACC, came back because they wanted to win the national championship. This was a team that was faced adversity all year long. They went through an early 4-game losing streak in the season and just never got their act together. And against Virginia, they came up short in that game and one of the tournament semifinal games. And Baycott actually in the second half instructed Coach Hubert Davis not to put him back in the game. So North Carolina lost the game and then declined an invitation to go play in the NIT tournament when they did not make the NCAA tournament. Another story was the Clemson Tigers, who came in third in the regular season, were a 3 seed, had beaten NC State 3 times, blew them out during the regular season, but they were not selected to play in the NCAA tournament. NC State was. That's kind of a head-scratcher right there, though. So the week in Greensboro had a lot of stories coming out of it, and a lot of interesting things took place. Again, an exciting event. Now we will sit back and get ready for March Madness and see how these teams go on. Again, watch for the Duke Blue Devils. They're playing some of their best basketball of the season right now. Reporting for Lindy Sports and Cox Sports Broadcasting, I'm the coach, Dick Cox.
Your team is extremely young. What have y'all learned, and you personally learned during the regular season, that you think's really got you prepared to make a run during the postseason?
Yeah, I think just getting everyone on the same page, everyone knowing that what their roles are on this team, and realizing what the big goal is going into the end of the season and going into the postseason. And I mean, I've learned how special this team is really, and how good we play together when we do share the ball. And take care of the ball and play defense and just play our hearts out, and just doing that, we're going to be one of the best teams in the country.
How hard has it been for you being a true freshman, but right off the bat, people have kind of looked to you to be a leader of this team and lots of times make the big shot and do the things you've had to do? Has that been tough?
I wouldn't say that's been tough. I definitely gone into the season getting more comfortable with that. But I mean, I just want to do what I can for this team to win. That's the most important thing for myself, and I know for all of us.
I know that Coach Capel said that y'all threw him off today with a 3-point shot. Though, we just talked about that. You hit threes. He hit a 3 today, though, too. About how deadly and how really potent you can be when you guys can step away and hit the big shot away from you.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely opens up a lot for our offense. And just having the hot hand feels so good. And, I mean, that's just a great job by our offense altogether with Tyrese having 10 assists. And, I don't know who else had a lot of assists, but I mean, just our whole team played a great effort in moving the ball and getting people shots in the right spot.
I know you want another shot at playing Miami. Would you love to have another shot also against Virginia maybe down the road? The way that thing ended up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just being able to redeem ourselves, getting this chance against Miami. Don't want to look too far ahead, but, doing that against Virginia would definitely be something, we're looking forward to as well. But, I mean, our main priority is tomorrow against Miami. And I mean, we're just going to come out there with a chip on our shoulder.
Thank you. Good luck to you.